Good morning, children.
Good morning, ma'am.
We completed chapter 3. Now we are going to start with chapter 4. And children, all those chapters which were deleted, I didn't take the first chapter because as per the last year's deleted syllabus, first chapter was not there. Now CBSE has again published the new syllabus where all the deleted chapters are included. So you will have all the 16 chapters. We don't know what is going to happen next, but still as of now, you have all the chapters, all the 16 chapters, no deletions are there. So after completing this fourth chapter, we'll proceed to chapter 1 since that is also included. Anyways, the fourth chapter, what we are going to learn is about reproductive health. You know the definition for health given by WHO from class 8th standard, I think you're learning the definition for health given by WHO. Anybody can say that? What is the proper definition for health given by World Health Organization? Nevin, can you try?
Definition for health:
Hmm.
the state of being free from illness and
A state of being, if you're free from illness, can you call yourself healthy? Is it the presence or absence of disease that decides your health? Anybody else? Any other answers? Nobody is remembering. Nandana, how do you define health? What is your concept?
State of complete physical, emotional,
Physical,
emotional and mental well-being.
emotional,
No, mental and social well-being.
social. Okay, physical. For emotional, you can say mental and social well-being. A state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely, Nevin, not merely the absence of disease or illness. Just by not having any disease, you cannot call yourself healthy because health has got different aspects. Not only physical health, mental and social health are also very important. And in this chapter, you are going to learn about reproductive health. The same goes with reproductive health also. It is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being in all matters related to reproductive system at all ages of our life. So that is the definition for reproductive health. So let us learn more about reproductive health. Reproductive health means a total well-being in all aspects of reproduction: physical, emotional, behavioral, and social. Or else you can even define it as a uh, state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being in all matters related to reproductive system at all ages of our life. Anyhow, you can define. So here, as per your textbook, it means a total well-being in all aspects of reproduction, that is physical, emotional, behavioral, and social. And India has started reproductive health programs or family planning programs since 1951. They started it in 1951. Family planning or reproductive health programs. And these will help in controlling the population also. And once again, I'll repeat, reproductive health means the total well-being in all aspects of reproduction: physical, emotional, behavioral, and social. And India has started reproductive health programs or family planning programs in 1951. You should remember these years also, wherever years are mentioned, you should know. And Government of India has also started reproductive and child health care programs, RCH, child health care, reproductive and child health care programs too are started two were started to make the people aware of reproduction related aspects. So with mainly two intentions, these programs were started. One is to create awareness among the people uh, regarding reproduction related aspects. Second one is to create a reproductively healthy society. So once again, I'll repeat, India has started reproductive health programs in 1951. Apart from that, reproductive and child health care programs were also started. And these were started with different purposes. Two main intentions behind the initiation of these programs were to make the people aware of reproduction related aspects and to create a reproductively healthy society. And sex education has been started in schools, and it is very important that there should be sex education in schools. And that is why the different topics related to that are included in your syllabus. So it's very important that sex education is included in school syllabus, and there are different aims for that. One is to provide the right information about sex related aspects. So children in the growing stage, they'll be curious to know different matters related to this. So they need a correct guidance. If they don't get a proper guidance, they will find out, or the source from where they collect information can misguide them or mislead them. So to give them proper information regarding sex related aspects, sex education has been started in schools. It also helps in avoiding sex related myths and misconceptions. I told you, depending upon the source from where they are collecting the information, maybe they'll search some internet sites or from their friends or books. All these may not be the correct information. So this might make them believe in myths and misconceptions. So by introducing sex education in schools, all these myths and misconceptions can be removed, and they'll be clarified, or they'll get proper or correct information regarding sex related aspects. Proper information about reproductive organs, adolescent and the changes associated with that, safe and hygienic sexual practices, sexually transmitted diseases, all that they get proper information by means of sex education. From I think class 8, there is a chapter reaching the age of adolescence, which deals with all the problems adolescents face at that particular age. So this is introduced in the syllabus with an intention, whether it is 10th standard or 12th standard, these topics are included with an intention to give you the proper guidance related to sex related aspects. So once again, the aims of giving or implementing sex education in schools. One is to provide right information about sex related aspects, to avoid all the sex related myths and misconceptions, and also to give them proper information regarding different aspects like reproductive organs, adolescent and the changes associated, safe and hygienic sexual practices, sexually transmitted diseases, or ways to prevent these sexually transmitted diseases. So all these information will be imparted to the children via sex education. Next, let us learn about population explosion and birth control. You know that presently the population is increasing at an exponential rate, and it is very important that we control this population, because the more the number of the people, then the living standards of the people will decline. So the population should be kept under control. So when the population is going on increasing at an exponential rate, this is leading to population explosion. So birth control methods will result in, or will help in reducing the population rate. In 1900, the world population was around 2 billion. 2000 million or 2 billion. And by the time it reached 2000, it rocketed to about 6 billion. Okay, we'll continue. In 1900, the world population was 2 billion. And by the time it reached 2000, it rocketed to about 6 billion. And in India, the population was nearly 350 million during the time of independence. During the time of independence, and it crossed 1 billion in May 2000. It means that every sixth person in the world is an Indian. So India is also not behind in terms of population. And according to 2001 census, the population growth rate was still around 1.7%, that is 17 per thousand per year, a rate at which our population could double within just 33 years. I'll repeat the points once again. In 1900, the world population was around 2 billion, and by the time it reached 2000, the population rocketed to about 6 billion, and the present population is almost 7.9 billion. As of April 2021, the population, the world population is 7.9 billion. So it is keeping on increasing at an alarming rate. And if you take the case of the population of India during the time of independence, 1947, or during those time, it was just 350 million, and it crossed 1 billion in May 2000. And presently, the population has crossed 1.39 billion. As of April 2021, it has crossed 1.39 billion. And I told you by 2000, May 2000, it crossed 1 billion. That, at that time, it's with that rate itself, every sixth person in the world can be counted as an Indian. So not only the world population, the population of India is also increasing at an alarming rate, and the population growth rate was 1.7%, a rate at which our population could double in 33 years. So the population keeps on increasing at an exponential rate, and if you don't adopt any birth control methods, the population will keep on increasing at an alarming rate. And as I told you, the area, the land area, the available land area is not increasing with increase in population. The land under cultivation also cannot be increased with increase in population. So within the limited area, if the population keeps on increasing like this, it will affect the living standards of the people, and that can lead to so many harmful consequences. Now let's see what are the different reasons for population explosion. Increased health facilities. So when compared to olden times, now the health facilities have increased a lot. So that means the lifespan of the people can be extended. So many of the diseases earlier, there were no cure, but with the advancement of medical field, we have found out medicines for so many dreadful diseases. So as a result, when the health facilities increase, it extends the lifespan of the people, and now we have better living conditions when compared to olden times. So that also will promote population explosion, which means the death rate will keep on decreasing, but at the same time, birth rate is keeping on increasing. A rapid decline in death rate, maternal mortality rate, and infant mortality rate. So as such, the death rate is declining, whether it is maternal or infant, means the child mortality rate, and maternal during the time of delivery, or the mortality rate is getting reduced. It has already reduced. An increase in the number of people in the reproducible age. So you can categorize people based on their age or the phase they are undergoing. So pre-reproductive age, reproductive age, and post-reproductive age. So those people who are in the reproductive age, their number is also increasing. So that can contribute to increase in the birth rate. And impacts of population explosion. Even though it is given in a single sentence, it is more than words could explain. Scarcity of the basic requirements. Simple terms they have given, but this scarcity of basic requirements will affect, like whether it is food, shelter, clothing. So those people, when the population is increasing at an alarming rate, it is not able to feed these many people, provide shelter to them, because they all need a shelter, they need house to stay. But with the limited area, where to go to find out shelter for them? The clothing. So all these are basic amenities, food, shelter, clothing. So when the population increases like this, we won't be able to provide, or the people won't be able to get sufficient amount of their basic requirements like food, clothing, and shelter. So once again, the different reasons for population explosion. Some of the reasons: increased health facilities, better living conditions, decline in the death rates, an increase in the number of people who are in the reproductive phase or reproducible age. And I told you, based on the phase undergone, the people can be categorized into pre-reproductive. Children come under that age, and those who are in the reproductive phase, and those who have reached the post-reproductive, they are no longer, or they have lost their ability to fertilize, like the people in the old age. So you can consider them in post-reproductive phase. So as a result of the increase in the number of people belonging to the reproductive phase, population can increase tremendously. And the impacts of population explosion is scarcity of the basic requirements. So in the absence of basic requirements, it is not able to survive, or it is not able to survive in a proper way. Like there can be struggle, or there can be competition among the people for their limited basic requirements: food, clothing, shelter. All that won't be sufficient for the people, because the limited area, limited land under cultivation, that is not increasing with the increase in population. So many mouths to feed every second, the number of mouths to feed is keeping on increasing. Now, control measures. How to control the population? What can be done to keep a check on this increase in population? Motivate smaller families by using contraceptive methods. So earlier, uh, I think in each family they used to have so many 10, 11, 12 children like that. But now majority of the cases, exceptional cases are there. Apart from that, all believe in nuclear families, one or two children. Majority of the families, they have just one or two children. So this has been motivated. Smaller families are promoted by the governments also. That is meant for controlling the population. And smaller families are made by using different contraceptive methods. Birth control methods are adopted to limit the number of members in the family. Creating awareness among people about the slogan "Hum do, hamare do." That means we too are two. Limiting the number of children to two. And many couples have adopted a one-child norm also. So in many of the families, the couples they are having just one child. So all this will help in reducing the population. And the marriageable age, the age at which they get married had been increased, at which they can marry has been increased to 18 years, and that of males to 21 years. The statutory rising of marriageable age of the female to 18, and that of males to 21 years. So this also will help in, has helped in reducing the population growth rate. So once again, The control measures adopted, some of the control measures adopted are: the first one, motivating to have smaller families by adopting contraceptive devices. And the second one is creating awareness among people regarding the slogan Hum Do, Hamare Do, we too, and our too. And many couples have adopted one child norm also. So all these will help in reducing the population growth. And the statutory rising of the marriageable age of the female to 18 years and that of males to 21 years. That also will help in, that also is taken as a control measure to reduce the population growth. Now, there we already mentioned motivating smaller families by adopting contraceptive devices. So let us learn more about contraception and contraceptive devices. They go a long way in controlling the population growth rate, or they keep a check on the increase in population. So some properties that should be present in an ideal contraceptive. So let's see what are the different properties a contraceptive should have to call it as an ideal one. It should be user friendly, easily available, effective, and reversible. It should be user friendly, means a person who is using it should be very comfortable for him to use it. It should be easily available. He or she need not search for getting these contraceptive devices. It should be easily available. Then it should be effective. In spite of using, if it is not serving the purpose, then it is waste. So it should be effective in controlling the population, or it should be effective as a contraceptive device. And it should be reversible. Reversible means as in when the couple wants to have children, they should be able to reverse it. When they discontinue using it, they should be able to reproduce again. So it should be reversible. No or least side effects. So many of these contraceptive devices are having different side effects. The ideal contraceptive should have no or lesser side effects. It should not interfere with the sexual drive, desire, or sexual act of the individuals involved. So when a contraceptive device is used, it should in no way interfere with their sexual drive, desire, and sexual act. So these are the different conditions or different properties that an ideal contraceptive should have. I'll repeat it once again. The contraceptive devices should be user friendly. It should be easily available. Then it should be reversible, and it should be very effective in checking or as a birth control measure, it should be very effective. Then second one, it should not have any side effects, or it should have just least side effects. And the third point, once these contraceptive devices are used, it should in no way interfere with the sexual drive, sexual act, or desire of the person using it. Hope you got the points. Moving on to the next slide. The different contraceptive devices. So we are going to learn about the different contraceptive devices commonly adopted. First one, barriers. Second one, natural or traditional methods. Intrauterine devices. Oral contraceptives like pills, injectables, which are injected into the body or implanted into the body. Injectables or implants, then surgical methods. These are the 6 commonly adopted contraceptive measures. Barriers, natural or traditional methods, intrauterine devices, oral contraceptives, injectables or implants. Injectables or implants, and finally surgical method. So all the methods are reversible except surgical method. Surgical method, poor reversibility. Once surgery is done, It's not that easy to reverse it. Okay. Whereas all the other methods are reversible. So we'll be dealing with each of these methods in detail. We'll start with the first one. Any doubts in what we have covered? Any doubts in what we have covered? Yes or no?
No, ma'am.
No. Then can we have a quick recap? So Mehak, what is meant by reproductive health? If you don't know, just refer your note and tell me the answer.
A total well-being of physical, emotional,
Ah.
and
Emotional, behavioral, and social. Okay, then what else we discussed, Sania?
Government initiated many programs like Family Program in 1951.
51. Okay, next, Punya. RCH. What is RCH?
Reproductive and child health care was initiated by the government for promoting awareness about reproductive related aspects.
And also to create a what type of society?
Healthy society.
Reproductively healthy society. And then what else we discussed, Nandana?
The aims and the needs for sexual education in schools.
Okay, why sexual education should be introduced in the schools? One reason?
To provide right information about sex-related aspects.
Yes, Anna, next one, next point, next reason?
To avoid sex-related myths and misconceptions.
Myths and misconceptions. Okay, next point, Malavika.
Proper information about reproductive organs, adolescence, and related changes.
Hmm.
Safety, hygienic sexual practices, sexually
Okay.
transmitted
Yes, yes.
diseases.
What are the reasons for population explosion, Anthony? What are the reasons?
Increased health facilities and
Louder.
increased health facilities,
Increased health facilities and
better living conditions.
better living conditions. Another point, Naureen. Another reason for population explosion. Naureen. Michael.
Lower infant mortality rate and maternal mortality rate.
Can I see you? Where are you? Okay. No connectivity issues. No, purposely turning it off. Okay. Now tell me the answer.
There's a lower infant mortality rate and maternal mortality rate.
The mortality rate decreased. Decrease in mortality rate, both infant mortality rate and maternal mortality rate. Now, third reason, Gayatri Manoj. Don't disappear, Michael. Be there.
Increase in the number of people in their reproductive age.
Increase in the number of people belonging to reproducible age. Okay. Now, let's see about the different contraceptive devices. We'll start with barrier methods. Already in 10th standard, you have learned about barrier methods. These, first is given as natural. Just a minute. Okay, we'll start with the barrier methods. These prevent physical meeting of sperm and ovum. So you have already learned that fertilization will take place only if sperms and ovum are released simultaneously and they should get a chance to meet and fuse. And these barrier methods, as the name suggests, they act as a barrier preventing the physical meeting of ovum and sperm. So one typical example for these barriers are condoms, an example, Nirodh. And these devices or these structures are made of rubber or even using latex sheath. So one example, the first example for barrier we are discussing now, these are made of rubber or latex sheath, and these are used to cover the penis or vagina and cervix. So you might be thinking, why vagina and cervix? Condoms are available not only for males, female condoms are also there. And when females use it, it is used to cover the vagina and cervix just before coitus or just before the sexual intercourse. So when it is covered in this way, or when this device is used, the semen cannot reach the female reproductive tract. Once the semen can't reach, then it will prevent fertilization. Sperms cannot be released, and hence they will not get a chance to meet with the ovum to cause or to result in fertilization. Once again, we were discussing about barrier methods. Barrier methods are the different barriers available as contraceptive devices. They will prevent the physical meeting of sperm with the ovum. One typical example for a barrier device is condoms. One brand name is also given, Nirod. And these are made of rubber or latex sheath. And this will be used for covering the penis or the vagina and cervix just before the intercourse, and they will prevent the semen from reaching the female reproductive tract. These are very popular when compared to all the other contraceptive devices. These are popular because of the following reasons. One is that if a condom is used, it will help in protecting you from STDs like AIDS. So sexually transmitted, all contraceptive devices cannot protect you from STDs, but condoms can protect you from sexually transmitted diseases. Easily available, disposable. After use, it can be easily disposed and can be self-inserted and thereby gives privacy to the user. So some of the contraceptive devices need medical assistance to be inserted into your body. But this barrier method is such that it can be used self-inserted by the user. So it gives at most privacy to the user. Once again, I'll repeat the points. We were discussing about barriers, and these barriers will prevent the meeting of sperm and ovum. If sperm cannot meet with ovum, no fertilization will take place, and hence it prevents pregnancy. And one typical example for barriers is condom, and these are made out of rubber or latex. Both male and female condoms are available, and these are used to cover the penis or the cervix and vagina in case of females just before coitus. So when this is being used, it will prevent the semen from reaching the female reproductive tract. And this is one of the most commonly used or very popular contraceptive device. There are several reasons for that. One is that the main reason is that it protects the user from sexually transmitted diseases, which other contraceptive devices fail to do. And the second one, easily available and disposable. It can be easily disposed. And the last point is that it can be self-inserted. It can be inserted by the user itself, and hence it gives privacy to the person concerned. Hope you got the points. Now we are moving on to, and here you can see the picture of both male and female condoms. Next set of barriers, diaphragms, cervical caps, and walls. These are used by females. Diaphragms, cervical caps, wall, these are different contraceptive devices coming under the barrier category used by females. It's made of rubber. These devices are made of rubber and will be inserted into the female reproductive tract. So just before the coitus, this will be introduced into the female reproductive tract, and this will help in covering the cervix to prevent the sperms from reaching the reproductive tract. They block the entry of sperms through the cervix. So when cervix is covered, when cervix is blocked, the sperms will be unable to enter the cervix, and that will prevent fertilization and hence pregnancy. These are reusable. Condoms, they were single use. I already told that it can be easily disposed. So after single use, it will be disposed. But diaphragm, walls, and cervical caps can be reused. Spermicidal creams, jellies, and foams are also used along with these barriers to increase the contraceptive efficiency. So, along with diaphragms, cervical caps, and walls, spermicidal jellies and creams. So, here you can see the picture of a spermicidal cream. So, if these are also applied along with these contraceptive devices, it will increase the efficiency of its contraception. So in order to enhance its efficiency of contraception, some spermicidal means, as the name suggests. What is spermicidal? Pesticide, herbicide. Spermicide means the one that, anybody?
Kill sperms.
Yes, they will help in killing the sperms. So destroying the sperms. So the second set of barriers that we discussed was diaphragm, cervical caps, and walls, and these are also made of rubber like condoms, and these are used by females. I told you all these barriers which we are discussing now are used by females. It will be introduced into the reproductive tract of the female, and it covers the cervix before coitus, and this will block the entry of sperms through the cervix. Can be reused, and in order to enhance the efficiency of contraception, spermicidal creams and jellies are also used along with these barriers. So with that, we have completed the first contraceptive device, that is barriers. No doubts, no? Do you have any doubts? Whether it is yes or no, you can open your mouth.
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. Now moving on to the second one, natural and or traditional methods. So we have completed barrier method. 6 methods of contraception we'll be discussing. And the first one we completed, that is barrier method. Next is natural or traditional methods. These methods also avoid the chances of ovum and sperms meeting. So this also will help in preventing the physical meeting of sperms with the egg. And there are different methods. So mainly three natural methods of contraception are there. Starting with the first one, periodic abstinence. Spellings are a bit difficult. You should be thorough with these spellings. Periodic abstinence. Now let's see what is meant by periodic abstinence. From the day 10 to 14, you already learned in detail about the different phases in a menstrual cycle. So from 10 to 17th day of the menstrual cycle, avoiding coitus. So that is known as periodic abstinence, preventing sexual intercourse from day 10 to 17 of the menstrual cycle. And this, as I told you earlier, this is applicable only in case of females who are having regular menstrual cycle. And some of the ladies, they might experience fluctuations in their menstrual cycle. So this cannot be, this method is not, or these methods are not applicable. Natural methods are not applicable for those ladies with irregular periods or irregular menstrual cycle. So for a lady having a regular cycles, if coitus is avoided from 10 to 17th day, you know the ovulation day is on 14th, but still for a safer option, 10 to 17th day of the menstrual cycle, coitus is avoided so that fertilization or conception will not take place. That is known as periodic abstinence, and the 10 to 17th day of the menstrual cycle is considered to be the fertile period. So chances of ovulation are there. And if ovulation takes place, and during that time, if the sperms enter into the female genital tract, and you know, it will lead to fertilization, leading to pregnancy. And the next method, coitus interruptus. From the term itself, you will get an idea. what is meant by or what is included in this method? Coitus interruptus, interrupting coitus in between, withdrawing the penis from the vagina just before ejaculation to avoid insemination. You know what is insemination? That is transferring sperms into the female reproductive tract, or transferring semen into the female reproductive tract is known as insemination. And insemination takes place before insemination takes place, or before semen is released, the penis will be withdrawn from the vagina. So this method is known as coitus interruptus, second natural or traditional method of preventing pregnancy. And moving on to the third method, lactational amenorrhea. So these three, periodic abstinence, coitus interruptus, and lactational amenorrhea, are three natural or traditional methods of contraception. Now let's see what is lactational amenorrhea. So lactational, it is related something with the breastfeeding. Now let's see how this method works. It's a prevention of conception by breastfeeding the child, because ovulation and the cycle, menstrual cycle, do not occur during the period of lactation, and this is effective up to 6 months following parturition. No side effects. None of these methods have side effects, but the chances of failure are very, very high. We cannot completely rely on these methods because chances of failure are high. I'll repeat once again the third one. Lactational amenorrhea means conception can be prevented by breastfeeding the child 6 months following parturition. Ovulation as well as menstrual cycle will not happen for 6 months after delivering the baby. Approximately 6 months after the delivery of the baby, menstrual cycle, neither menstrual cycle or ovulation will take place. If menstrual cycle is not happening, ovulation also will not happen. So the coitus during this particular period will not lead to pregnancy. But as I told you, this is not at all reliable, even though it is not having any side effects. The method, these three methods, the last two lines are applicable for all the three methods, no side effects. So none of these methods are having side effects, but chances of failure are high. Okay. And let's see the points once again. And children, side effects not there for three of these, but chances of failure are high, but it is mostly applicable to lactational amenorrhea. Okay. No side effects for all the three, but chances of failure when compared to these three, more for lactational amenorrhea. So once again, we discussed about the second method of contraception, natural or traditional methods. There are three ways of three natural methods of contraception: periodic abstinence, lactational amenorrhea, coitus interruptus. The first method, that is periodic abstinence, means conception or pregnancy can be prevented by avoiding coitus from 10th to 17th day of menstrual cycle. Then second one, coitus interruptus, means withdrawing the penis from the female reproductive tract or vagina just before ejaculation. So that is the second method. And the third one is lactational amenorrhea, after parturition or following parturition for 6 months, when the lady or when the mother is feeding the baby, ovulation and menstrual cycle will not happen. So during that period, if sexual intercourse happens, it will not lead to conception or pregnancy. But the method is not at all reliable. Chances of failure will be very high. But all these methods, three of these methods, are not having any side effects. So rest of the methods we'll be discussing in the next class. So natural methods, quickly you can summarize. Anybody who will start? Donna? Any one method? Any one natural method?
Periodic abstinence.
Abstinence. What is periodic abstinence?
It avoids the fetus from day
Coitus.
sorry,
Avoiding
coitus
coitus.
from day 10 to 17 of the menstrual
Menstrual
cycle.
cycle. Because it is during that period we consider the lady is fertile, because it's a fertile period during which ovulation will take place. So avoiding coitus during that particular period. Second method, Anna.
Coitus interruptus or
Interrupt word, you know. So coitus interruptus. What is it? Yes, Anna.
withdrawal of
Connectivity issue.
penis from
Withdrawing.
just before the withdrawal of penis from the vagina just before the ejaculation to avoid the insemination.
To avoid insemination. Okay, last method, Malavika, which is the last third method that we discussed.
Lactational amenorrhea.
What is lactational amenorrhea?
Prevention of conception by breastfeeding the child, because the ovulation and menstrual cycle doesn't occur and fertilization.
How long it will not take place?
6 months.
Following
Parturition.
parturition. Okay, and what is the common advantage of this method? It's not having any
Side effects.
side effects, but the chances of failure will be more. Okay, so thank you, children. See you next class. I'll send you the notes today itself. Thank you.